Morning world. 3.5 hours since I got out of bed. We're finally in Sydney. You'll soon know that. You can see the harbour bridge. I'll go for breakfast. Got no five myself. Banana, honey and cinnamon protein drink. So I thought the best place to start the film photography would be head up to George Street. And I'm breaking this roll of film up over 3 videos. So if you're subscribed, you'll see the other 2 videos over the next few weeks. I took the Pentax MX with the 35mm lens. I got the 35mm lens back on the 11th of April, so I used it on the Fuji camera with a modifier thing. This lens, I had this lens when I was learning photography in 1988 and 1989 with a 50mm lens at high school. I brought one when I moved over to Holland, and when I got back to Australia I lost the camera and the lens, so I haven't had that 35mm since 1989. But I do like the 63-degree angle that you get on that lens. And the Pentax MX is 50 years old this year, so it's not a bad little camera. And I brought that one nearly 3 or 4 years ago. I used the Pentax 17 for a whole year last year. I've still got the Pentax 17, but I wanted to get back doing my SLR cameras. Now with the Pentax MX camera, it's a great little camera. I won't go over all the specs of these cameras and these lenses. You know, there's 100,000 like videos on this, but the MX is a nice compact little camera. And I thought coming down to George Street would be a good spot to actually use it. And that guy in front of us now is the only photographer I saw on the street. And as you'll notice on this, unlike Melbourne, you don't see people holding up phones taking photos. You don't see people taking photos with cameras. It's very quiet during the day for photographers. I don't know why they don't do daylight photos there in Sydney. That's Sydney for you. So because I'm a Melbourne person, I thought I'd just film some tram photos. And the trams are quite good. Anyway, let's show you some of the photos that I shot with this MX, and we'll talk about each of these photos. Ignore the Apple Store. I got watching that workshop in there. Right, so this is the first photo. Now I'm trying to use some framing and some layering, and so I used the bicycle there, as you can see, just to actually be an anchor point for the focal point, and with the words on those trams. And you've got leading lines on those tram lines. And I use that man on the right as a focal point to sort of give it a bit of a layer over to those 2 trams and the leading line to that tram coming up there with those buildings behind it. It makes it a nice little photo. This is XP2 film as well. It's nice, easy to get it developed in 2 hours at Eurohass. Once again, you can see another man there as the focal point, and the tram as it's coming up George Street, and you can read the words on this advertisement sign on the right. 35mm lens was set to f8, so that f8 was working nice, and I was shooting around 1/200. It was cloudy, but it was quite bright down George Street because the sun shines down there with a little bit of sun. Once again, we got nobody on there. We just got a police car going down the back there. I saw some detectives while I was there, and that man was crossing, so it gave me something to focus on. Once again, I wasn't actually aiming to focus on those 2 ladies on the left. I was actually trying to get that person with that double bass case, like a guitar case thing. She walked past me, so she gave me plenty of time to compose this photo. And then when she turned around, I was ready to shoot the photo. You take a bit of time to compose photos with film cameras. It's quite good. And that worked out perfectly. One of the tricks to going to Sydney was to try and practice LX style photography. And that's why I used that plant thing there to frame those 2 people sitting on that seat. And that man sitting on there was a bit like Alex Webb style photography. And that's actually a detective car driving down there. And I did actually run in and talk to those detectives. And that there you can see there is another police car. They had 2 detectives walking around with the police, so I'm not sure what they were actually doing. But as you can see, this lens is nice sharp. You can read the words. The lens is great. And XP2 is not a bad film to use as well. Okay, we're at the top end of George Street with the Queen Victoria behind us and that black line for the gutter. I use that as the leading line to the people. We're right outside the town hall. Those trees are jacarandas, so they flower in October. And that's just showing the crowd in front of the town hall. Unlike Melbourne, there's never anyone sitting in front. Once again, you've got leading lines on this photo. You can see the drain, you can see the brick wall, you can see the tram lines, and that double case lady is walking away with that case. So that's like that other photo I took of her. Anyway, I will put up another video later in the next week or two about George cameras. I went in there and had a look at George cameras. So thank you for watching, and if you're subscribed, you'll see the inside of the George camera pretty soon. So thank you for watching. I'll put up another couple Pentax-m photos over the next few weeks as well. All right, stay safe, people, and I'll talk to you on the next video.